Good evening. Sorry I'm a day off schedule. All of that will be revealed as we unfold this evening's episode. All right, tonight's episode is Why Now? Why a new paranormal channel now, after all these years of being in the closet about who I am, except for a select group of family and friends? There's a few reasons. The first one is I'm getting older, all right? My family, even my nearest family, my closest family who still live in the United States, they know just a smidgen of all of the things that have happened to me all my life. It wasn't their thing, they didn't really care about it. They were mildly interested. I'm not saying they were negative. They were not negative. It's not that at all. But they weren't interested. And you'll see a lot of YouTube tutorials that'll say, don't bother telling your family and friends about your YouTube channel because they don't care. And they don't most of the time. So what? Okay, we move on from there. Also, I would like to leave some sort of legacy, some sort of record of the things that have happened to me since I was a child. I don't think that's a bad thought, to document it, have a documentation of everything from angels to spirit guides to ghosts to precognition to future visioning, all of that. I've had all of that. So that's one thing. I wasn't sure. Okay, take a deep breath. Here we go. I wasn't sure if I was ever going to tell anybody how old I am. A few weeks ago, on the 13th of January, and I was born on a Friday the 13th, by the way, I turned 75. I don't know how much longer life is going to give me. My mother died a lot younger than I am. She was only in her 60s when she died. There are a lot of relatives on both sides of the family that have died in their 60s. And I've made it to 75, so I'm counting myself lucky. Now, how about if I just proceed with all these different little discussions with you over the next few months, hopefully years, and we'll see how we go with all of that. That's number one. Reason number one is I'm getting older, and it's time. It's time to make sure somebody knows all these things, and that even if I'm gone, you can turn on the channel and you can scroll through and find your favorite episode about ghosts or angels or spirit guides. We haven't even gone there yet. And I've had a lot of spirit guidance throughout my life. The second big reason, and I am not being political in any way, shape, or form, all right? There you go, minor disclaimer. The world is so unsettled right now. It is so unsettled. And I feel like people need to know that they have tools for coping, that they know how to go within, that they know how to listen to their truth and not someone else telling them what is an acceptable truth. If you know things are coming because you can feel them, I think there are very few of us who have any sort of sensing ability who don't feel what's happening right now in a deep, deep way. Really, truly. This last month has been a bit shocking. And it's unfolding in Europe too. It's everywhere, all right? So, I would say I'm going to be like a therapist, I'll be somebody you can discuss things with, ask questions of. If I know the answers, I'll tell you. If I don't know the answers, I will try and find out. Let's just look at this as a group therapy sort of. We're encouraging each other to listen to your own inner truth. And don't let anyone, I don't care if they're your mother, father, husband, children, co-workers, don't listen to anyone telling you that you're wrong. You're not wrong. If you're sensing things that are coming, okay, you're noticing that my eyes keep going up. I forgot. Mark made me a little thing that's the size of a Cheerio, a little piece of breakfast cereal that's shaped like a donut. And he told me to put it on top of the head of the camera so that I looked up more. And I was looking more at that instead of down at the screen where I can see what's happening and unfolding. He said, that's better. So there you go, Mark. I'm looking at the little donut. He's off climbing tonight. He's not here anyway. Where was I going with this? Let me stop for a minute. All right, the world. Yes, the world. If you're finding that you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel like you're having a panic attack, do deep breathing exercises, do short meditations, do anything that you can to make yourself feel whole and well, because you're no good to anyone if you're falling apart. And yes, the world is falling apart, and it's worth you feeling like you're falling apart. Seize joy in every single thing that you can find. If it's something as simple as, okay, the buds of the bulbs are starting to come up a little out of the ground. You're looking at your seed catalog online, and you're planning what you're going to put in your garden. You have a little doggie that you go out and walk every day, and you watch him frolic or her frolic in the outdoors, whether it's raining like this crazy flooding that we've had here. Take every opportunity to be with people who are kind and gentle and who care about you. And if you don't have those kind of people in your life because you're a solitary person or you happen to find yourself living alone, do everything you can to self-care. Watch enlightening videos. During Christmas time, I noticed that we could not watch contemporary movies about Christmas. They're just horrible and trashy and flashy and CGI and lots of bang, boom. You know, what did we watch? We watched things from the 1930s. We watched The Bishop's Wife. It's a Wonderful Life. All of those kind of softer, gentler, inspirational things. I'd love it if we were still there, but we're not, all right? We're not. So, what I'd like to do is give us a little safe sanctuary to discuss things that will make us feel like we're whole and we're well. So, if you think you're seeing ghosts, you are. If you're sensing ghosts, even though they're not making themselves known, or you just see them in the corner of your eye, just say, okay, I know you're here. Good. That's fine. Everything's fine. If you're feeling angels, if you're getting angel contact, and there's lots of that, lots of angel contact, you need to send more questions. I only have 2 or 3 people who wrote in and had specific questions. I will do a Q&A about all of these different topics, but I need the questions before we go, or else it's going to be a 3-minute video. Let's lift your game, people. You know, send me some questions. All right. We've had a situation here in France this week where a lot of people have lost their homes. Their homes have just washed away. We've had such horrendous flooding. If you go over to the original channel that this was on, A Village Life in France, I'll insert a little card that shows you A Village Life in France if you don't know that address. Or, in the show notes down below, there's a click-on link. I've posted several videos about the flooding. There are so many people, towns that had not been underwater in decades or whatever. They've broken all records for the amount of water. This is climate change. So don't listen to people who say, oh, climate change is, it's all in your head. No, it's not. It's not. You have to be prepared. And being prepared doesn't just mean scanning all your documents and having a go bag so that you can march out the door. Being prepared means, how would you feel if everything in your house disappeared? But you had your life and you had the clothes on your back and that was it. That is going to be the situation for a lot of people around the world, not just here. And I don't think people realize to what extent that cold and water, because these things seem to happen in the winter and in the spring when it's still cold, it can just destroy lives. People's health will not necessarily recover. So, if you are the sort of person who does, whether you call it prayer or meditation or sending intentions, try and hold a thought for some other people. When you get ready to go to bed at night, close your eyes, breathe deeply, feel the energy of what's in the world, know that you are safe, and send like beams of energy out to other people who are in need. And don't specify, do not specify, say, I'm sending these beams of energy, of hopefulness, of relief, of calm as they can be under the circumstances, to wherever it is appropriate. So, there's that. All right. So this little old lady has had a funny day and a funny week because I could feel the energy of all of those people losing their homes. And I would wake up in the middle of the night in a panic, and I would sit there quietly and I would scan, and I would think, is this one of my children? Is this one of my sisters? Is this someone who's a dear friend? No, it wasn't that. It was people I don't know, but I can feel the energy. If you're like that, you need to be calm and turn it around by sending good energy out that will help combat. One of the reasons in medieval times that convents and monasteries were thriving businesses, yes, and they were businesses, because the Catholic Church has always been about being a business, but they stayed behind closed doors to intentionally, in many cases, pray for the future of the world. What were they getting for that? A roof over their head and 3 meals a day. But they thought that was their higher calling, was to do something that was beyond them and bigger than what they were as a person. So think about it that way. It's almost like we're going backwards in time. We'll have to dwell on that in another case, another time. So that's the why now. The why now is I'm getting older, bloody older. Aches, pains, the whole thing. It sneaks up on you, and when it gets here, it's not fun. Fortunately, I have a very intact memory. I have kept journals all my life. I've photographed things. I hope that this will help you when you learn about all of these things. And we're going to keep on going. So I don't think we have enough, unless a whole bunch of you write in this week, I don't think we have enough questions to do a Q&A. So let's see what we'll do. Next week, the next one we could do is ancient monuments and how you feel in some of those places. Is there energy in the stones if you are in a stone circle? And we have loads of stone circles here in France, and there's loads of them in England, Ireland, Wales, Scotland, loads of them, okay? So let's learn about those kind of things. Write in after we finish this episode and it goes to broadcast, and tell me if you're interested in knowing about medieval mystics who were amazingly accurate in their predictions. And one of the reasons, and this was covered in both my master's thesis and my doctoral dissertation, one of the reasons, I think, is that they were away from the world. Now, of course, they didn't have 21st century distractions. It was nothing like that. But they were away from the world, away from the prying eyes of people in a village, for the most part. Sometimes they integrated into a village. But they had as their reason for being keeping within and then sending the energy out. And there were some wonderful medieval mystics, many of whom were women. Because back then, as repressed as women were, they were also encouraged to go within and be seers. And those seers, including people like Hildegard of Bingen, Mechtilde of Magdeburg, they were consulted, especially Hildegard. Oh, I'll get it. Anyway. I'll put it up in a little writing at the top. The popes would consult with them. They would consult with them about, okay, what's going to happen during the next 1 year period? What's going to happen during the next 3 to 5 year period? They were considered wise women. They had no agenda. They didn't have, they weren't trying to seduce some man and get rich and be married and, have a life of luxury. They were amazing. Are you interested in that? I won't do that unless you're interested. So it's either going to be an episode of Q&A, send questions, or we will go to the energy of stones and the energy of places, because the energy still stays there. It resides. And I've got some fascinating stories to tell you about places we've been and how you can see things that happened, and they're not happening now. They're happening then, but you're seeing them if you're very fortunate. All right. Please like, subscribe, for heaven's sakes, people. Subscribe, like, click the little bell, and then click the little arrow and share it with people. Let's grow this thing. All right. I will try to be on the weekend next time. I will not guarantee. If we have a really crazy week, whether it's here in Brittany or it's in the world, we've had everything from government upheaval, and you know what I mean, to planes crashing and people dying in fear. Think of all of that, too. Send energy to those souls so that they find their way home in peace. Lots to think about, people. Lots to think about. So, let's make it a winning little group. And I'll say bye for now. Bye.